right, now pleased to welcome in 30-year-old. You look a little bit older than that, Drew. I got to say, maybe it's the beard or whatnot. Drew Valentine, the new head coach of your Loyola Ramblers. And Drew, congrats, first of all, on getting elevated. I know it's been a crazy few months for you since getting, a seat over, Porter leaving for Oklahoma, and now you got the big office.
Man, I do, man, with these nice trophies behind me, man. So, man, it's been crazy, but it's been great. Really, like you said, lucky and blessed to be in this position, and happy to be on here with you, man. Appreciate you for having me on.
No, good to listen. We've known each other a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Probably through your brother a little bit, and certainly since you were at Oakland, then you were GA at Michigan State. And what people maybe don't realize is you've been there for the core of this run that's been kind of magical for Loyola. Final Four last year, beating Illinois, and having a really, really good veteran team. And to be honest, this year you inherit a pretty darn good veteran team, which I don't know if people anticipated, but you're kind of fortunate, aren't you?
Yeah, very fortunate. I think this place is just so great. I mean, so many of, just speaking from an institutional standpoint, the university itself has so many values that I personally align with, being a men and women for others, the Jesuit mantra, and, just the culture of athletics, the culture of academics here. I really identify with it. And, the culture of this program that Coach Moser and the other assistants and, his previous staffs, and where I was able to come in, embrace it, learn it, and then also demonstrate it and be a part of it. And so really lucky, fortunate to be in this position. Steve Watson, the whole athletics administration, their belief in me, and the university, their leadership that believe in me as well. So love being a Loyola Rambler.
All right, let's get down to it. Let's get to this year's team. And obviously the $1 million question is what's life like post Krupp, right? Like, how do you guys ran so much through him last year. There aren't big men like him. They just don't come along that you can run everything through him. How is the offense? I mean, it's going to be different. It has to be different. What's it going to look like?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I mean, got to give Crut his respect. I mean, we were talking actually a couple of days ago, and he's, enjoying his professional career in Belgium right now, getting ready to get started and start with his, first official games. But Crut was one of a kind, and he's, was truly like a unicorn, one of the Loyola, legends, one of the all-time greats. But as far as moving forward, I mean, I think we've always kind of, since I've been here, we've been, a 4-out, offense that is really ball screen and dribble handoff heavy. Now, Krutwig initiated a lot of those. So I think, within those 4 guards lies, like you said, a lot of returning experience and guys that have played in big moments and guys that are really talented, guys that have been all league. I mean, we've got, 5 guys on our team on the perimeter that have been all league in the Missouri Valley Conference to some extent. And then the 6th one, Keith Clemons, who, has, averaged 10 points a game 2 years ago, averaged 8 a game last year, had some big games for us down the stretch. So we've got experienced guards and older guards are what, everybody kind of says winning college basketball. And so we've got a veteran group on the perimeter, and our offense is going to be led through them.
You think all these guys are kind of looking forward to having a little bit of a job? Obviously, you love playing with Krut because he made everybody's life easier. But, these veterans probably see a little bit more of an opportunity because they were pieces. None of them average. I think leading scorer among the returners is Lucas Williamson at like under 9 a game. Yep. I mean, that's kind of crazy to talk about this team being as proven it is, but you don't have a returning double-digit scorer. So, kind of who do you envision, or do you envision balance among these 5, 4 or 5 guys?
Right. I envision balance. I envision, our depth. I think, different guys on different nights is kind of the way that so many teams are successful. I mean, you look at the NBA playoffs, right? One night it might have been Middleton. One night it was Drew Holiday. One night, I mean, obviously Giannis was doing what he did every single night, so he was really consistent. But I think different people step up or close a game on different nights. And I think our depth with the experience, with the knowing how to play, with their actual ability, their talent, I feel pretty confident with, so many different guys, whether it's Lucas Williamson, his improvement. I mean, he's really become a very, very good, like, secondary ball handler. He can make almost every screen and roll pass now, and he couldn't do that 4 years ago. Braden Norris has taken a jump this summer. He's really improved. I mean, his ability to score the ball in different ways, whether it's at the basket with, different, quick finishes or floaters or get into the mid range. And obviously he's an elite shooter. And here Ugwak has, improved, and really just his confidence. I mean, here's a super talented guy, 6'7", 225. He was third team all league last year, one of the best perimeter defenders, most versatile defenders in the country. And his ability to be a matchup problem on the perimeter is somebody that I'm excited about. But we've got a depth of guys that have done it before and done it at a high level. Sorry, office lights going off. But super excited about our depth, and I think that's what I'm kind of looking forward to.
So, obviously the question, who replaces Crud in the starting lineup? Hutson was good. I mean, Jacob was good when he played last year. Is he the guy? Do you want to play more of a traditional 5-man a little bit there, or do you go small, or is it just depend on matchups?
Yeah, I think there's 3 guys that we have, and I've been pretty open, honest, and transparent with them about right now is when we're going to evaluate on who's going to be the guy. I think they're all 3 really talented guys, starting off, like you said, with Jacob Hutson, a guy that is a young he's a COVID freshman, but he just turned 19, so he's young. He's finally kind of in his right I guess grade, you could say, being a COVID freshman. But Jacob is 6'10", 6'11", 250 pounds. He's actually, really, really skilled. He's not quite the passer that Krutwig is, but he can make the simple ones. And he showed the ability last year. I know he was only 4 of 8 from 3, but he has the ability to stretch the defense. We also have a grad transfer from Dartmouth, Chris Knight, who was a 2-time all Ivy League player, a 1,200-point scorer, a guy that has had some really big games and has really a really good knack, 6'7", 6'8", 230 pounds at just putting the ball in the basket. He can really face up and drive you, finish with either hands. He's actually a decent rim protector. He's got long arms, big hands, decently bouncy. And then Tom Welch, a guy that played some time for us. I averaged, almost, I think, right around 5 a game or a little over it or under it, but in about 10 minutes a game last year, and was, him and Ahir Ugwak were the top 2 guys in the Missouri Valley Conference in field goal percentage. He's kind of like instant offense, whether it's picking and popping at 6'8", 225, 230, or being a quick roll guy to the basket. So we got some guys with some versatility, guys with some size, and guys that Chris has proven it, but elsewhere in Tom that was effective in his role last year. So I'm excited about all 3 of those guys and looking forward to September and October, getting ready to see who takes that position over.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You bring back all these guys, right? 8 of your top 10, but you bring in a bunch of guys too. I mean, 2 Ivy League guys that were impact Ivy League guys. You mentioned Chris, and you got another one that you tell me about from Princeton, and then you got 4 freshmen. So it's kind of a good blend, I think, of, a lot of those freshmen, they're not going to have to do too much, right? I mean, they can learn unless they're that good. Is there a freshman among that group that you think could make an impact and really be a part of the rotation?
I think, we'll see. Like I said, all 3 might have a chance. I mean, they've all, done a good job in the weight room this summer. St. Thomas is, 6'7", 6'8" from Omaha, played with Hunter Salas, that's at Gonzaga, and is a state champ. But, and St. was their leading scorer. Really? Max, he was the Max Preps Nebraska Player of the Year. St. was their leading scorer, and guys that have won before, guys that, he's physically ready, 6'7", 6'8", 220 pounds. He can, he's got a chance. We think he's got a really high ceiling. T.Y. Johnson, a guy from here in Chicago, he's put on 10 pounds, this summer 6'3", 180, 180, 185 dynamic guards. So they're going to have an opportunity. I'm going to play the best players, the guys that show me that they can, that they want it, that they want to, try to chase those trophies that are behind me right there. And, I'm excited about our freshmen. It's weird. We've got 6 seniors, but then everybody else is basically COVID sophomores. So guys that have, this year and then 2 other years after this year to play. So pretty good, balance, I guess you could say.
What is the most important thing that you learned from Porter Moser?
I think balance. I mean, he's such an outstanding just role model in so many different ways. But I think, the off the court stuff, first and foremost, as a person, who he is as a husband to his wife, or as a husband to his wife, who he is as a father to his 4 children. I mean, what he does in his community. And then also how good of a basketball coach he is, how good of a recruiter he is. I mean, he's such a dynamic personality, but he just seems to seemingly balance it all and have real relationships in so many different ways. And so just, seeing that was a really good role model for me, with the kind of husband I want to be to my wife and the kind of dad I want to be to my young daughter. And then also the head coach I want to be, the relationships I want to have with my players. So I think the balance he demonstrated for me and for all of our coaches on our staff was really remarkable to see.
What do you think the biggest benefit there is to a 30-year-old head coach? Because I think these days it's huge. I mean, you're 30, John Shire at Duke is 33, 34, whatever he is. I think it's huge because your ability to connect with these kids. Not that Porter Moser couldn't do it, not that Coach K couldn't do it, but I think it's kind of a different era now, and you lived it recently. So you can relate to these kids a whole lot easier than Coach K or even Porter could.
No doubt. And I think you took the words right out of my mouth. I think I can talk to them about the new Drake album that just came out. We can chop it up. I can, what I'm saying, they see, how we're dressed, they see the sneaker game. They see, we communicate basketball in a way. My brother's still playing in the NBA right now and wasn't I talk to our guys all the time, like, there's certain people that, are 5 stars, are one and dones that, they're going to be pros no matter where they go. But, 2 guys that I basically grew up with Bryn Forbes and my brother, Denzel Valentine, these were guys that nobody else thought was going to be pros, and they got it out the mud. And so I think the guys that we're coaching here at Loyola, if they want to get to that level, they're going to have to get it out the mud too. So being able to communicate to them in that kind of a way, I think is very beneficial. And then I can get out there, I can demonstrate, I need to.
Can you hang still? Can you hang with them?
I need to drop about 10 still, but, I can still get out there. I can still handle the ball, shoot it a little bit. So getting out there, demonstrate, and then be like, damn, coach, okay, he got a little wiggle out there. He can guard a little bit. So
just don't hurt yourself. Listen, when you hit 30, I'm not going to tell you what I am, but when you hit that 3-0, it's not the same. So be careful out there.
For sure, man. But it's been great. I think I think you kind of took the words out of my mouth, but it's been great. It's been a great learning experience for me.
All right. Final question for you. The expectations of this team this season. I mean, I assume it's get back to the NCAA tournament and advance. No?
Right. Yeah, we want to chase championships. I think that's our goal is to shrink our gap for how good and shrink our gap for mistakes. And we want to be as good as we can, be playing our best ball in March. But I think chasing championships, whatever, non-conference tournament that we're playing in, we want to try to chase the championship there, whether it's conference championship, we want to chase the championship there. When we get to the conference tournament, chase the championship. If we get in the NCAA tournament, we're not going to be content. And we've shown that we're not happy just making the NCAA tournament. We want to, chase the championship during there too. So just constantly keeping that tunnel vision towards, getting hardware and collecting rings. That's what we want to do.
There you have it. 30-year-old rookie head coach, Drew Valentine. I'm sure you don't want to hear the word rookie for too much longer.
Hey, I'm good with it, man. I'm good with it.
You're young. Listen, right. Enjoy it. Enjoy 30 years old. Enjoy your first season at Loyola. Congrats, and can't wait to get out there and see you.
Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Before we move on, Let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for BetRivers yet, now is the time because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the scorer's table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
All right. And that was Loyola head coach Drew Valentine, the first-year head coach. And now to take a closer look, even closer look at the Ramblers, we bring on two guys that know the program very, very well. And first, we bring on Kevin Sweeney from SI and also bring on Carter Elliott from Sleepers Media. Thanks for joining me, guys. And first, Kevin, your reaction when they elevated Drew Valentine after Porter Moser left for Oklahoma?
I think it was somewhat inevitable. I think when you saw the $2+ million that they were offering Porter, there was a thought, okay, maybe do you swing at a big name and try to elevate the program that way? But look, I mean, their program slogan now is committed to the culture. And I mean, the culture of Loyola basketball under Porter was so, critical to their success and to their rise. And it just wouldn't have felt right to go any other way than Drew, even though he is the youngest head coach in Division I. I think, this was the route that they had to go, and they had to roll the dice with a young guy who has a really good reputation and, hope that he can continue this upward trajectory that this thing's on right now.
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. 30 years old. I think he's going to connect with kids. He knows the game. Carter, you've known him for a little while too. Were you surprised or not really?
I wasn't really surprised at all. I mean, just kind of going off what Kevin said, I knew it was coming. I had a couple heartstrings pulling at me being a Michigan State guy. I thought he could maybe pull him back home to get to East Lansing. But I mean, like Kevin said, a lot of coaches talk about culture, but the minute that Drew stepped on campus, that was the first thing that he told me. He could feel it when he was under Porter, and he could feel the culture changing. And I just, you don't want to mess that up. He's established that over these past couple of years. He has the connections. He's he's young, he's fun. I think he's great. And, I think they're going to do great things. He's going to do a great job with that team.
Well, I mean, the great thing, Kevin, is like he takes over a team that returns like 90% of everything, right? I mean, obviously you lose a big piece in Cam Krutwig, but everything else is back for the most part. So, this is a team still capable of winning the league, getting back in the NCAA tournament and maybe winning a game. But is that too much to ask for a team that lost its best player and a guy that it ran everything around?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a couple of coaches around the league, just trying to get a sense of what they think. And, look, they can't say enough good things about Cam Krutwig. That obviously aligns with everything you've watched over the last 4 years. Obviously, he was a skilled passer. He could score. But I think the thing that people didn't realize was he directed traffic for that team really on both ends of the floor. He was telling guys where to go, pointing, you got to run to this corner. You got to cover this guy. He was the absolute epicenter of both everything they did. He was a coach on the floor, and, that will be challenging to replace. But I don't think you could ask for a much better situation for Drew Valentine to walk into than to have, 4 seniors who've been around this thing forever, including 2 in Lucas Williamson and Nahir Uwak, who are actually on the Final Four team. Nahir was redshirting, but Lucas played a lot of minutes on that team. So, I mean, they have just been through the wars. They understand it. I've talked to a lot of Loyola players over the last couple of years for different stories I've been working on. They'll start to talk like Porter Moser. And I think like just having these guys that are so ingrained in it that they're just saying the phrases over and over again, I think will really help Drew in establishing it. So yeah, I mean, winning an NCAA tournament game without Krutwig would be really, really hard, but they have everything you could want in terms of experience. They have shot makers, and they're really going to defend.
Who steps up, Carter? Like no returning player averaged more than 9 points a game last year. I mean, they were all good and filled their roles, but it's not like they had a guy that you're going to say like, okay, you know what? He went for 14 last year. Again, it's going to be a different offense, a completely different offense.
Yeah, it is. And, the thing is, you can't replace one player with one player. It's never like that. And I think, like Kevin said, this is the perfect situation. You can have a group of guys who've been there and been through it and can make up for the production that Krutwig had on both ends. But for me this year, I think that Lucas Williamson, though he is a big name across the country, I think he really comes onto the scene this year. I think he's one of the best defensive players in the country, a defensive player of the year candidate for the country. If you want to even make that an award, I think he could win that award. I think that he kind of is under the radar, but he's going to really make himself on the national scene this year. And then I expect Braden Norris as well to take a step. I think a heady point guard. He knows what he's doing out there. Not the biggest, not the fastest, but he can really shoot the ball, and he knows what he's doing out there, and he always makes the right play. So it's going to be a committee thing this year, replacing a player like Krutwig, but I think that they have the pieces to do that.
Well, I think they'll have to change a little bit stylistically too, Carter. I think they're going to play a little bit faster. I think they'll be a little bit more ball screen oriented. They can't just run the stuff with Krutwig initiating from the high post. I think that opens the door for Marquis Kennedy, who's probably the most explosive scorer on the team. His ability to go get a shot off the bounce is, unmatched on this group. Like Williamson is not super explosive. Norris, as you mentioned, not the quickest guy, not the, best at getting to the rim. I think there's really room for someone like Marquis Kennedy to become an alpha dog scorer. And he might not even start. I mean, I think you probably pencil him in as coming off the bench, but he's someone that brings the dynamic nature that they don't have right now offensively. And that was an issue for them last year. They got bogged down at times when Krutwig wasn't playing at his best. And I think they're going to have to play a little bit faster to make up for that. And Kennedy's a guy I think could explode with that.
It's funny because, again, they've got these guys that everybody knows about, right? That have been on the team, that have been fixtures, and they got 6 new guys though coming in. They went to the portal for a couple Ivy League guys, and Chris Knight, you heard Drew say it, like he really thinks he's going to be a big piece of this team. Ryan Schwieger, another one from Princeton. So, he goes Dartmouth and Princeton and gets a couple guys that are going to help him. And then he loves his freshman, St. Thomas, out of Omaha. Absolutely loves him. 6'7", gives them something a little bit different that they don't have. So I think it's almost like a tale of two teams in a sense, Carter. And can those older guys get these younger guys, and whether it's a freshman or they're not younger guys from the Ivy, but new guys acclimated and get them to whereas they can almost fill the roles that they were filling the last couple of years as complementary players.
I agree. And to go off that, I think that they have the perfect team and the perfect setup to get guys to buy in. That's an issue that I don't think is going to come with this team, because when you are bringing in new guys like that, the worst thing that can happen is that you don't have guys buying into what kind of they're trying to go for. And, with the coaching staff and the players and the older players on this team, I don't think buying in is going to be an issue. So I think that they'll be able to assimilate pretty seamlessly. And, also with a name like St. Thomas, you got to be a bucket getter. And Drew told me, and that's an unreal name. That's half the battle sometimes. And Drew was raving about him the last time I talked to him, can really shoot the ball. So I'm really excited to see him play this year for sure.
So Kevin, can anybody beat these guys in the league? I mean, Drake, like who can challenge him, or you got Loyola winning the league?
I do have Loyola winning the league. I think it's close with Drake. I mean, look, Drake last year, Darren DeVries did an unbelievable job where guys just kept going down with injuries. They had no depth by the end of the year. And they quite frankly, they changed their style completely and still found a way. Losing Joe Yesufu, I think, takes the ability for them to beat Loyola in the regular season, at least on paper, away. But, this is another experienced team playing, 5th and 6th year guys. I think that's really the theme throughout the whole Valley. No league is older, from what I can gather, than the Valley. So many guys using that COVID year. Indiana State has their point guard back. Missouri State gets Gage Prim back as a 5th year guy. Northern Iowa's old and gets AJ Green back. It's going to be competitive at the top. I think UNI has like a sneaky underdog factor here, where they were down last year with the Green injury. Maybe they're back into contention. I think Loyola is probably the class of league still at this point. Just given what they have experience-wise, it's hard to bet against it.
So no league is older, no staff is younger than Loyola. Does that worry you at all, Carter? I know you're a young dude, so you probably love it. But a 30-year-old head coach with a bunch of young dudes as assistants, I know they've learned under Porter. Does that worry you at all?
I mean, it does a little bit, but, you know, I though Drew is young, I think he's wise beyond his years, just knowing him as a person, as a coach. I mean, he's locked in and he really knows the game of basketball. Anyone knows that talking to him. So it doesn't really worry me. I think that the kind of young injection into the staff and the team itself is just like great. I mean, even all the way to like the social media, like the Ramblers social media right now is one of the best follows on the social media sphere. So make sure you go follow them. But I think it'll work out well.
Good, Carter, getting them followers.
Oh,
Big
yeah,
time. I wonder how much he's getting
paid.
paid per follower, Kevin.
Oh man, got to be something. But I know, I think their staff, I will say this, like Amora Morgan and Sean Dwyer, the two guys they hired externally, those are young guys, but they've been around a little bit. Amora was huge for South Alabama, and before that at Nicholls State in terms of recruiting. He does a really good job. He's going to be a head coach, I think, sooner rather than later. And Sean Dwyer was at Cincinnati last year, helped the Northern Kentucky build that was so successful. You know, another guy that I think is really good. So yes, they're younger guys, but you know, they're risers in the industry. And I think they'll be okay from our perspective. You might expect to have one older guy on staff. They don't really have that, at least among the recruiting assistants, but I think it will help them connect with players without a doubt.
I'm gonna age myself here. I covered Amora Morgan in prep school when he was a prep school player. How about
wow. So you're just throwing your age out there like that, I guess.
Really bad. I know. I need to stop doing that. What's the X factor, guys? Start, Carter. The X factor for Loyola, if they're going to get back to the NCAA tournament and be a factor, or at least be scary in that first round game, what needs to happen for this team this year?
You know, I'm going to go back to point guard play. I'm going to go with Braden Norris. I think a lot is going to have to go through him this year. Like Kevin said, they're not going to have that high post presence that's kind of initiating the offense. So naturally, I think it goes to the point guard. So I think Braden Norris is going to have a really big year, not just shooting the ball and scoring the ball, but also just initiating the offense and making sure things go correctly. And also, you know, it's going to be a committee thing picking up for Krutwig, but I'm putting a lot on Braden Norris this year for sure to kind of make sure the offense runs smoothly and being that coach on the floor that Krutwig was.
Kevin?
Yeah, I think of Jacob Hutson. Look, I mean, obviously Chris Knight will help them a lot. He's athletic, but Hutson really gave them good minutes down the stretch in a way that I don't even think like the stats show. I mean, he was only playing 8-10 minutes a game in those games behind Krutwig, but he brought some energy. Yeah. He really was good and he's smart. You know, he can make those passes. He's really tough around the rim. I think he's someone, you know, maybe he's not going to score 10 points a game, but I think he will give them, 20 minutes a game, and it's going to be huge for this team to have that interior presence.
I'm going with my guy, St. Thomas. Love the name too much. Love the game. And I think he's an X factor guy for him. I really do. I mean, listen, he's a guy that if he can give him 8 or 10, all those other guys, they're going to go up a little bit, whether it's Williamson, Lucas, Braden Norris, they're all going to go from like 9 to 12 or 13. If you can bring St. Thomas into the mix there, and give him something maybe off the bench, or who knows? I mean, again, the beauty of Drew, I think he's young enough to understand, like, whoever's good enough, they're going to play. Like, they're going to play. And the most interesting thing for me on Drew is like how long he stays at Loyola. And I know he hasn't coached a game yet, so I don't want to do this to him yet, but I am. Like, I think he's a rising star in this industry. And I think somebody's going to come knocking probably sooner than they did for Porter Moser, because Porter was a little bit older and he had struggled at some previous spots. So a lot of people were wondering, is this a one-hit wonder? And then when he did it twice, Joe Castiglione went calling, and some other people did as well. We thought, maybe he'd go to some other places. But I think with Drew, it's not going to take much, right? I'm like, honestly, wouldn't shock me if he wins this year at a high level. If some high major goes after him right away.
I wouldn't be shocked at all. And, the old phrase, like, winners win, that really sticks with Drew. I mean, he won at the high school level at Lansing Sexton. He won when he played in college at Oakland. When he coached at Oakland, he won. When he's a GA at State, they won. Now he's at Loyola. They've been winning. I mean, winners win is what he does, and he's going to make it happen. So, I mean, like you said, he's going to be a hot name for sure. And God forbid, he has an unreal year this year. People are going to come call him.
At least they have to pay.
And I'll say, I mean, he does have like everything you look for in terms of he's young, he's energetic, he's really well spoken. Like he checks every box for what high major staffs or high major ADs are looking for right now. But you can do what you need to do. You can win at Loyola. You know, obviously it's not just.
Here comes Sweeney. Here comes Sweeney trying to stay at Loyola.
I'm not. But they
he doesn't want to leave in the state.
They have resources. They have, their facility is really nice. They have a great practice facility now. They're paying. They have everything it takes to be high major, and the brand has never been strong. That was something when I was talking to their staff this summer. Like, they have, the kids they're able to get involved with right now, both in America and abroad, is unbelievable because everyone knows Loyola between like it being in Chicago, the Sister Jean stuff, the success, the Gryffindor scarves. Like Loyola has this really strong brand right now that will be hard to walk away from. Yes, he's going to have those opportunities, and I expect him to take one eventually, just like Porter did.
Sweeney, you know what they don't have enough of compared to some other teams?
Hey, they had 2.2 to give to Porter this
spring. They did, but that's Oklahoma true. Money?
Oh, they don't have Oklahoma money, but you can hold some people up.
They got money, but they don't have, Power 5, football money.
Right.
Hey, Kev's right though. The Loyola brand is strong right now. I mean, they are the best. I mean,
listen, he's not going to leave. Down. He ain't going just to go anywhere. We know that, right? Yeah. Drew's smart enough to say, I'm not leaving unless I can go somewhere that, first of all, that I'm going to make probably double or close to it. And number two, where I'm going to have a chance to fight for Final Fours. I mean, listen, if he stays long enough, maybe he's the next coach at Michigan State. We don't know, right? I mean, Izzo is probably never retiring. Let's be honest. Like Izzo is going to go to these Boeheim 77. Izzo is going to go to these like 83.
I mean, I wouldn't doubt that at all. But
anyway, Loyola fans watching, we didn't mean to do this to you. Enjoy Drew Valentine. He is an up and comer. He's terrific at what he does. So is Kevin Sweeney. So is Carter Elliott. We appreciate you joining us. Make sure you follow the Field of 68 for all your preseason content, and we'll see you soon.